We're going to talk a little bit about rootstocks, share some things with you to look for when you go to the garden centers to select your fruit tree for this season. All right, this is an apple tree and an apple rootstock. This is the M111 rootstock. This is probably one of the more popular semi-dwarfing rootstocks in the trade. Really grows quite a big tree though, 85% is standard. But it's an adaptable rootstock. It's a very, very good rootstock. Usually you're going to see, a certain amount of feeder growth up here at the top and then these nice anchoring roots at the bottom. So when you're going in and you're selecting a tree that's this big a caliper, an inch, this is kind of root you'd like to see on it. Next rootstock, this is one of my favorites, semi-dwarfs. This is called B9. And B9 is becoming a very, very popular rootstock in that it's got pretty good anchoring qualities. In some of the areas that fire blight's a problem, it tends to be a little bit more fire blight resistant too, we're told. Also, this is a great rootstock in containers. A lot of times, B9 will have no root on it whatsoever. Now this is a larger caliper tree. This is a 3/4 inch tree, so it's had more development in the root zone. B9 quite often has no root on it whatsoever. But we've never ever lost a B9 rootstock to my knowledge at all. It's quite a vigorous grower once it gets into the ground and gets adapted. And here's an example of Budagowski 9 or Bud 9, and this is very, very, very small root, but this is nothing to be afraid of. To be exact, even if the root didn't have these laterals on them, Budagowski 9 is still a very, very dependable rootstock. So this is on a smaller caliper tree than the one that we looked at last, and so this is not uncommon. Although the roots this year are beautiful on Bud 9. Another apple rootstock, this is the M27. This is the most dwarfing rootstock that Dave Wilson Nursery offers. Very, very fibrous root system, very, very surface rooted. This is a rootstock that also is good in containers. Yeah, it's pretty susceptible to fire blight, but it also needs to be staked when it's in the ground. This is a 3/4 inch tree as well, so you're seeing quite a bit of root. This rootstock can also be very, very small on smaller caliper trees. Real popular semi-dwarf rootstock for prunus, this is Citation. Now, this is an inch caliper tree, and this Citation rootstock is absolutely gorgeous. This is really what you would want to see on this size tree. Real nice developed root. But on a smaller Citation root, you're liable to see very little root at all. Again, this is a rootstock that really takes off. Even if it shows no root when you go to purchase your tree, you're going to find that this rootstock will be real dependable for you. Real good in poor draining soil, and definitely has been proven to contribute to larger fruit size as well. Here's a red Baron peach, often the case on Citation. Citation root, very, very small. This root will do fine. When we see Citation growing like this, most of the time we would get concerned, but when we're on the smaller caliper trees, this tree will actually take off and root just fine. This is another example of a prunus rootstock, and very popular rootstock, Level Peach. Now this rootstock you can really tell with this nice deep taproot. This is a rootstock that has good drought tolerance in the landscape. It's a rootstock that is excellent for anchoring. This is a rootstock that's also very popular in colder climates as well. This tree is a standard, so it will go full size, but this rootstock is very, very dependable. Pruning can always keep your standards shorter. Now let's go and look at the cherry rootstocks. This is a Mahaleb rootstock, probably one of the more popular semi-dwarfing rootstocks for cherries, although it grows a big tree. This rootstock is not tolerant of poor draining soils. It really needs good draining soils. And this is a typical example of a larger caliper tree, the rootstock you'd like to see. But on smaller caliper trees, you may see a Mahaleb with no root on it whatsoever. Here's another tree that does perfectly fine, even when it's not showing a lot of root on its smaller caliper trees, say in the 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch range. Here's a smaller caliper Mahaleb cherry. As you can see, Mahaleb quite often has this carrot look to it. And again, it can actually have no root whatsoever on it at all, and it can still be viable and definitely a dependable rootstock. And the last will be this cherry rootstock. This is the Mazard rootstock, a husky rootstock this is. And this rootstock is very adaptable, probably one of the most popular rootstocks for cherries throughout the United States. It's not considered a precocious variety, meaning that it does not promote early bearing. To be exact, cherries grown on Mazard rootstock may very well take longer to produce fruit, in some cases up to 3 to 5 years. But it definitely is adaptable, and it definitely makes for, you can see, makes for a rootstock that gets out and gets anchored in the soil, into the soil well. Plan on always checking drainage on cherries, but the Mazard will tolerate just a little bit heavier soils than the Mihaleb will.